Hello there guys, it's Ebird Online and I'm back with another review for 90 Day Fiance, and this is a risk assessment into the relationship of new couple Mike and Natalie. Mike is American and hails from Washington and Natalie is from the Ukraine. And right away, Ebird's inner voice says, "Hi, I love you my husband." And I'm hoping we haven't got a repeat of Caesar and Maria. So as with my other risk assessments, my plan for this video is to look at the pros and cons of how Mike and Natalie met and assess whether we think this relationship will be a boom or a bust. I'm massively humbled by the amount of people that have subscribed to my channel thus far. If you haven't done so yet, please don't forget to hit that red button, and also don't forget to like the video, and also follow me on Twitter at Ebird99. Right guys, let's get to it. We first meet Mike and he's showing us around his hometown, and he lives in a small town of 7,000 people on a tree farm. This is a family tree farm and he bought it from his father, and he has 27 acres of land. This is good news for Natalie. She's got plenty of places to hide if she doesn't like Mike when she arrives in the US. Mike is 6'7" and he seems like he's somewhat of a gentle giant. He tells us all he loves being the centre of attention, and he also says you can't miss him. You can, Mike. The 3,500 women in your village have managed to miss you thus far. I put it to you that you are indeed missable. So Mike shows us round his land, and it is quite picturesque. He has his uncle working for him, Uncle Buck, and when I take one look at Uncle Buck, I think it's fair to suggest that Mike hasn't provided his workforce with dental insurance. Uncle Buck both works on the land and apparently lives on the land, in the barn. And at the moment I'm not quite sure if he actually lives with Mike or if he does actually live in a barn. Looking at him, it could be either. Mike tells us he purchased the business 6 months ago and is in lots and lots of debt. To add to this, he also tells us that he's already been married before, he's now divorced, and his wife ran off and left him. Maybe she wanted more from life than he could give. And it transpires that she did. What she wanted was a female touch. Mike's wife ran off and left him for another woman. Mike was very upset about this, and he tells us he started eating and he put on an awful lot of weight. And he tells us he went right up to about 340 pounds before he decided enough is enough. He then lost another 80 pounds in the following 2 years. But photographic evidence leads the eBird to believe that some of the weight is creeping back on again. Just an observation, Mike. Just an observation. So Mike has a best friend called Matt. Matt married a Ukrainian lady called Svetlana, and when they had a child, they named Mike godfather, and Svetlana's best friend Natalie was godmother. Mike caught sight of Natalie, and the rest, as they say, is history. What's Natalie like? Natalie's tall, she's thin, she's blonde, she's Ukrainian, and you can tell that Natalie has a burning desire to leave the Ukraine. Natalie's well educated. She has 2 degrees, one in psychology and one in journalism, and I predict that she'll psychoanalyze Mike and then write a blog about what a fool he is. Mike and Natalie began texting back and forth, and Mike discovered that Natalie was a real go-getter. She likes rock climbing, scuba diving, snowboarding. He loves the fact that Natalie lives life to the full. Natalie invited Mike over to the Ukraine, so Mike went over, and after 2 weeks he'd completely fallen in love, and 3 months later he took her to Paris to propose. Natalie accepted the proposal of marriage, and Mike applied for the K1 visa. Like Maria before her, Natalie enjoys sending little videos telling her American suitor how much she loves them and how they've captured her heart. So the next time we catch up with them, Natalie has just discovered that she might have to wait another 6 months for her K1 visa application to be accepted, and she's very upset. She rings Mike immediately and she tells Mike, "I need you to come, I need you to be with me." And although Mike has concerns about his financial situation, Mike confirms to her that he'll be over in the Ukraine as soon as possible and is going to be by her side. Well, there's one big problem. Natalie says she's going to tell her mum something to make her feel better. What's that? Mike asks. I'm going to tell her that soon she'll have grandkids. Natalie, nothing would make a grandmother feel worse than to imagine that you've got grandkids who are the other side of the world and who you will rarely see and rarely be able to help bring up. I don't think that's going to make her happy. It certainly wouldn't make me happy. Mike chokes on this information, and Mike's very worried because he thinks, once we have a child, I know I'll have to pay for a lot of things and they're expensive. Mike cuts her off and says, we're going to have to take that one step at a time, baby. Well, what did you think, Mike? Did you think you were going to go straight to just having a baby? Step 1, Anastasia date. Step 2, you meet. Step 3, you meet in person. Step 4, you apply for a visa. Step 5, you marry. Step 6, you fornicate. Step 7, you give birth. Step 8, baby. That's it, Mike, one step at a time. You and Natalie are on the same page. And then Matt explains to us, but not really to Natalie, that he has to pay for a K1 visa, a wedding, buy a new house, and then he wants to have kids. He does definitely say he wants to have kids, so that's a good thing. But I think the timelines are going to be a little bit off. But instead of just telling Natalie the logistical problems, he says, I want to take it one day at a time, and then I want to see how I feel about it. Mike, just say what you really feel. Tell her. Come clean, say you would love to have a kid, but financially you've got to consider things. And once again, we start TLC's Wave of Secrets. Bore off, TLC. Natalie helpfully says, let's not talk about it now. Natalie, if not now, when? These sorts of things need to be ironed out before you arrive in the US. Don't just take my word for it. Ask Tania and Syngin. Mike tells us opposites attract. She's a vegetarian, he's a meat eater. She's religious, he's an atheist. She's elegant. And Mike describes the couple as Beauty and the Beast. Mike, the Ebird's got some help for you. I've got a few more to add. She's educated, you are not. She's financially secure, you're massively in debt. She wants kids immediately, and you do not. Opposites don't always attract. So what do I think about these couples' chances? I think they're actually quite good. Hopefully they didn't meet on Anastasia date, and because they met in a more realistic way, maybe she's not just looking to get out of the US. I think looks-wise, he's punching a little bit, but not massively. It's no Caesar and Maria. And I think the fact that she's bothered to go and get 2 degrees shows that she wants to improve her life as much as she can, and she's prepared to do hard work. So that's a good thing. But I think Mike's low self-esteem will prove to be his major stumbling block in this relationship, because one of the comments he made was as thus: why would a girl like her be interested in a guy like me? Mike, if you start out by believing that you are not good enough in a relationship, you will convince the other person, whether it's true or not, that you are not good enough. You're 6'7", you seem like a decent guy, you own your own business and you have your own property. Yes, you have debt, who doesn't when they've just bought a new business? But you do have things going for you. You've been married previously, so you've proven that you can commit, and you've bothered to go over to the Ukraine for 2 weeks and actually get to know her and meet her family and her mum. And as soon as she encountered problems with her visa and said she wanted you by her side, you were ready and willing, even though you can't really afford it, to go and be by her side. So I think overall you're a good guy. I'm just crossing my fingers that she's a good enough girl for you. But for all of the couples thus far, I think you're the most closely matched, and I think you've got the best shot. So guys, let me know what you think. Do you think these guys can make it? Do you think that Mike should have come clean about the reasons for him not wanting a child straight away? And do you think his overwhelming self-deprecation is going to be a stumbling block in this relationship? Let me know what you think in comments. As you know, I try to read all of the comments and I'll respond to as many as I can. That's everything for this video. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you've yet to do so. Many heartfelt thanks to all of those of you who have subscribed thus far. And to those of you who haven't, press that red button. What are you waiting for? And I'll be back later today with my first part of my review for episode 3 of 90 Day Fiance. Thank you so much for listening. You've been listening to Ebird Online. Ciao for now.